Hit and record. Okay, so you start off with a real estate agent and they start peppering you with question after question after question after question after question. You feel like you're on defense the whole time. That happens all the time in recruiting. Real estate agent sits down, they start to, well, tell me about this, tell me about this, tell me about this, tell me about this, tell me about this. First thing I'm going to do is pump the brakes. Okay. Hey, great question. I will answer every one of your questions before we're done today. But before we get started answering those questions, I want to make sure you and I are on the same page. And I want to make sure I'm only going to talk to you about the things that are important to you and make sure that we're getting you the right solution for you. Is that fair? And they say, yes, almost every single time. Once in a blue moon, I'll get somebody who's like, no, I just want you to tell me about this. I'm like, I understand that. I appreciate that. But I can't really talk about that until I know where you are and where you want to be. If you give me those two pieces of information, now we can custom tailor a solution that works for you instead of me just randomly telling you information until you finally cave in or walk away. Does that sound fair? If they say no, conversation's over. Right? Conversation is over. So if we get in a position where they're taking shots at me and I don't have the ability to actually control the conversation and get some basic information from them first, I stop the conversation dead. I've done this with other people on three-way calls, and they're like, Russ, what the hell? I'm like, did you see what was going on there? We have zero power. They're taking shots at us. We're not going anywhere but getting shot at. We can't help them go from point A to point B. We're not going to be able to help them with a solution by just being a resource for just basic information. We want to make sure we're setting up a scenario where we have the ability to move them from point A to point B and get them the information they need to be successful. Okay? That's the key, and that's the core of where we're at. This also sets you up, if you started off here with this power shift, in that you've got people that are coming in with you that, number one, want to be there. Number two, you understand what their motivations are. And number three, you don't have somebody that's going to constantly, for the rest of your life, just take pot shots at you. Right? So now you're building a collaboration. So when we're looking at adding people to our teams, I want to set up this scenario where I start asking them questions and we have this power shift. And I say, first thing I want to do is I want to make sure you're a good fit for me and I'm a good fit for you. Do you see what happens there? Because in some scenarios, they're like, I want to see if you're the right company for me. Well, I want to see if you're the right guy for my company. If you don't start that power shift there and you don't start that power shift early and often in this scenario, you end up in a scenario where you're just along for the ride and they're in control and they're just going to drive you bat's not crazy and you have zero control ever. So if we start off with this conversation, where are you at now? There's a couple of key parts and pieces of information you need to know. And this is how this math equation starts out, right? So where are you at now? So what is some of the basic information you need to know to be able to understand where they are?
What production?
How many sales they did? How many sales did you do in the last 12 months? Good question. How many real estate agents know the answer to that? Guys, I've done this thousands of times. There's a bunch of them
Russ. Very few.
Don't know the answer to this, right? So here's the cool part. If I ask them that question, I automatically have a sale right in for B. It's like, hey, wait a minute. You don't know what your basic sales and statistic numbers are? No. So, well, here's a really cool part. With EXP, we have this app called My EXP that basically you pop that thing open. It tells you exactly how many sales you've got, exactly where you stand, and exactly where you are on your cap every single year. So that alone will help you be a better business person right out of the gate. Does that sound like something you could use? Since you don't even know what your sales are in the last year? Yeah, right. So I've already found something we have that they want and they need because they don't have their basic business structure set up. Okay. So this is basic business 101. Know your numbers, right? So the second question after I ask them sales, they don't know, how much money did you make in the last 12 months? How much money did you make in the last 12 months? How much money did you make last year? It's shocking and surprising how many don't know the answer to that either. Right? So do we have somebody we can help? Just knowing those two pieces of information, right? Okay, so third question, you guys can write this stuff down, okay? Third question is, where did your business come from? Where did the business you do come from? A lot of times, guys, they don't know that either, okay? So where did your business come from? Well, I don't know, I don't really pay attention to that stuff, okay? So this is basic 101. It's like, if I got a deal from somewhere, I want to be able to know where that is, and can I get another one from there, right? It's like, if I go 3 houses down and around the corner, I know I can get a free beer. That guy's always got a fridge loaded full of beer, right? Well, if I go back there 3 houses down and around the corner, can I get that again? Yeah, right? Dude's damn near running a bar. It's just in the neighborhood. Okay, so like, where did you find your last meal? good chance there's going to be another one there, right? So we're getting into this human nature thing. It's not just a business thing. Where'd your business come from? If they don't know the answer to that, do we have an opportunity? Yes, we do. So what we're already doing is exfoliating a bunch of different opportunities to get them to actually give me a sketch of where they are, okay? So number 4, this is really good one, right? What do you like to do? What do you like to do? So guys, are real estate agents being taught and trained and groomed into doing a bunch of things that they don't want to do? Yeah, right. So when I ask them what they like to do, very seldom are they saying to me, you know, I really like banging the phones, Russ. It's my favorite thing to wake up in the morning, start dialing for dollars. Said very, very few people. Okay. I'm not saying that that's not acceptable. I'm not saying that that's not a good plan. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just simply saying, after interviewing thousands of real estate agents, when I say, hey, do you like making phone calls to random people you don't know? The answer is no, a lot. There are some people that says yes, right? This is why I want to ask the question, what do you like doing? Many times they don't even know because they don't have enough experience to know what they're liking to do, right? All right, so I'm gonna let Barbara in here. So what do you like to do? And then number 5, what do you not like to do? What do you not like to do? Okay, I'm starting to get a picture of what this person is, who they are, what they like to do, what they don't like to do. Is that good information when I try to help them find a solution to where they want to go? Absolutely. So with just those 5 questions, you've completely shifted the conversation. Do you think people are more likely to respond to you in a positive manner if you make them feel like you actually give a shit? Yes, right? Because what happens is if we stop here and we're like, well, okay, let me just answer your questions. I don't know anything about them. I don't know what they like. I don't know what they don't like. I don't have the ability to guide all the conversation, say, well, if you like doing that, we could do this, this, and this. Would you like that? And they go, yeah. Now they feel like I'm listening to them. Guys, I just had this conversation earlier today, okay, with another group, had 2 people on there. And I said, well, what do you do? What do you do? What do you not like to do? And she's like, blah, blah, blah. She said, well, you know, I'm a bartender. I'm like, oh, I love bartenders, right? And not because they serve me drinks. I love bartenders because they're super friendly and they meet a ton of people. I said, okay, so here's the thing. Do you think you could actually have this conversation while you're bartending? Because when you're talking to them about getting your real estate license and getting business going, could you have this conversation? And she's like, yeah, I would love to. Yes, I could totally do that. Good. So I'm helping her build a plan of things that she's willing to do. And one of those things is she's in Naples, Florida. I'm like, do you know what beach right now is still in good shape? That's worth going to, that has a bathroom reasonably close and some food reasonably close. If a tourist comes into town, do you know a beach that's accessible? Because a lot of them are messed up. And she's like, you know, I don't know the answer to that question. I said, do you think anybody would want to know the answer to that question? Yeah. How about a golf course? What's a good high-end golf? You know, so I literally talked about like, how do you build that and know these things that people are going to be, she's like, people ask me these questions all the time, Russ. I'm like, I know. You should have a whole list of answers to these basic things as a bartender, right? Now you become a resource. And those people are more likely to want to do business with you. Okay. So in the process of asking what you like and what you don't like, you've got the ability to actually figure out who this is. Okay. So where are you at now? Where are you going? How many sales did you have? How much money did you make? Do you know? Where did that business come from? Do you know? And then what do you like doing? What do you not like doing? Okay, great. So if I could show you a scenario where you can have the money you want and boom, 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 we're talking, right? Yes. Okay, by the way, this is recorded. I know I'm talking fast, so I want to make sure I get through this and I'm going to let you guys ask a bunch of questions, okay? So part 1, where are you at now? Okay. Part 2, did you notice how I drew the stick figure bigger? They always want more than where they are. So the second question is, boom, I'm going to go back to here. How many sales do you want to do? I just spelled want wrong. I just spelled want wrong. Teach me writing and drawing at the same time. How much sales do you want to do? A lot of times they don't know the answer to that. They may know a number. Many times they know a number. Many times you can say, how much money do you want to make, right? That's the second question I ask. And the reason I ask it in this order is how many sales do you want to do? They don't know a lot of times. This is where we can get into some basic realtor math. And I'll show you that real simple too, okay? How much money do you want to make, okay? Where would you like that business to come from? How are you going to get that business to come to you? Where's that business going to come from? And then what would you like to do over here? What would you like to do? Okay, this reaffirms what they're doing over there. Okay, great. So now that we know where they want to be, where they are, where they want to be, there's always a gap, right? There's always a gap between where they are and where they want to be. So here's where the fun part comes in, guys. As a good attractor, as a good recruiter, as a good team builder, as a good business builder, my job is to say, okay, so you're here now, you want to be here. If I could show you a couple ways to get there that are doable for you, that do things the way you like them, would you like to see that? And they almost always say, yes. Great, now do we have a power shift? Got a massive power shift going on. We're talking about what they like, and we're going to build them a plan that fits what they like to do. Sometimes that's doable, sometimes it's a little more challenging, but we can almost always find something that makes sense for them. Now I'm going to hold them responsible to doing those activities. So if I showed you this and you had this tool, would you use it? And then they start to say, yes. Great. If you had that tool and you used it, how many more sales would you do with that tool? And they'll give you a number. And then I start a tally over here. I'll say, hey, by the way, if you had 10 leads that came in every single month with live humans saying, I want more information on that house, do you think you can convert some of those 10? And the agent will say, yes, I can. Great. If I gave you 10 live humans, how many of them would you convert into sales? And they're going to say some asinine number like 9 or all of them. Like, all right, we know they've never done this before, right? So let's just say conservatively, you had 2 from just using that tool out of 10 on a monthly basis. Now we're looking at 24 sales in a year just from utilizing that one tool. Do you agree? Now they're going, wait a minute. This is their number, not mine, right? This number will get astronomical, and I always pare it way the heck back, okay? So I'm going to tie all this together and start getting numbers and quantify, okay? So how are you going to get from point A to point B? So here's the recipe again, okay? Start from the beginning. 1, where are you at now? Tell me what you like, what you don't like, boom, 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 boom. Good. Where do you want to be? Okay. They're going to throw out a number. If they haven't been in the business a long time or haven't been really successful, most of the time you're going to hear this a lot, guys, unless you're in San Diego. If you're not in San Diego or Northern California where it's expensive, they're going to say 100 grand a year. Like, how much money do you want to make? $100,000 a year. Okay, great. 100K. Perfect. Where are you at now? They're at 20, right? You got 2 sales, 3 sales. You want to be at 100K a year. Great. So if I can show you 2 or 3 ways to get to 100K a year, are we talking? Yeah, good. Okay, so how are we going to get there? Here's where you are. Here's where you want to be. How are we going to get there? This is where the magic happens, guys. This is where the magic happens, because I asked them the question, how are you going to get there? And then I shut up. Here's the reason why. They're going to tell me who they are. They're telling me who they are here. They're telling me who they are here. I'm getting them to think of where they want to be. And then when I ask them how they're going to get there, I want to ask them that question and shut up, because some of them are going to start blustering and telling you a bunch of nonsense and gobbledygook. Like, well, if you already had all that, then why are you there? If you're already doing all that, I want to do all that, I could do all that, why are you already there, right? So the real reality is you're not where you want to be because you got to change something, right? And almost all the time they'll be like, yeah, okay, great. So what are you going to do different? I don't know. If I gave you a couple of suggestions on how to get there, would you like that? Uh-huh. Guys, listen, this works on most people that are real estate agents, because most real estate agents are under 10 sales a year. If you get somebody that's higher level sales, this still works, because you're getting into what do you like, what do you don't like, and how you're going to get there. Is the conversation slightly different? Sure. Are they going to do slightly different things? Absolutely. But this same recipe works on people that are doing 100 sales a year, because they're doing boom, boom, boom. They like to do, don't like to do. They want to be here. And for them, a lot of times that here is, hey, I'm making $600,000-700,000 a year, but I'm working 70 hours a week. So if I could show you a plan that you worked 40 hours a week or less and still was able to make that kind of money, are we talking? Bam. Now I'm hitting them right between the eyeballs, right? Because I know somebody making $600,000 or $700,000 a year, but working 60 and 70 hours a week, they're not thrilled, right? What do they need? They need more freedom. They need more time. They need more systems. So if I can show you 2 or 3 ways to actually work less hours, make more money, are we talking? Yeah. If I can show you a way to work less hours, make more money, and set yourself up so you don't have to trade time for money in the future, would you like to see that too? Yeah. Now we talk about rev share as part of doing sales, right? I don't bring that up at all until after we talk about sales. 95+% of the people that you're going to be talking to need to do more sales, guys. Sell more effing houses. That's the like all of them are like, oh, I really want to be a recruiter. No, they're like, I really would like to sell more houses. If I could sell more houses, make more money, and do it in less time, we're talking, right? So then you've got to find that recipe that works for them. Okay. So you said you want to make 100 grand a year. Yes. Here's what this conversation goes like with 90% of agents, guys. Great. $100,000 a year. Do you know how many houses that is? Nope. They're going to, or some of them will spit out a number and they may or may not be right. Okay. So here's where we add some basic realtor math. This is it. Okay. So $100,000 a year. What's your average sales price in your market? So Ziggy, I'm going to use you because I love you. Okay. So Ziggy, what's your average sales price in your market?
400,000.
400,000. Okay. So in your $400,000 market per house, do you typically get 3% on sales, or at 400,000, are you more like 2.5 or 2.75?
3.5.
3.5? You get three. Sweet. See, guys, this is why we ask. Oh, nobody's ever said 3.5 yet to me. So, but that's not the market I'm in. Okay. So in your market, you're getting 3.5. So on a $400,000 sale, what's your typical commission? At 3.5, somewhere like 13,000, 14,000?
13. Yep. 13,000.
Okay, so $13,000 is your typical commission. Okay, so Ziggy, what I need you to do is pull out your calculator real quick. Okay, you got your calculator? Take $100,000 and divide by 13. What's that number?
Divided by 13,000, 7.69.
7 point what?
69.
Okay, so let's just go with 8. Okay, so in order for you to make $100,000 a year, you got to do 8 sales. Okay, so how are we going to get there? So let's talk about how to get there. Guys, here's the important part. Most real estate agents aren't doing this basic math. They don't understand this basic math. We've got to get this to a quantifiable, attainable number for them. If you can't break this down into a quantifiable, attainable number, it gets really, really confusing. If they are confused as to what they need to do to be at this place here, they're not going to be as easy to sign up. So as we get them to the point where they actually understand, it's only 8 sales. So do you think you could partner with us and we could show you how to get 8 sales a year? I've got 2 or 3 things that can help you get there. Would you like to talk about that? Yeah, I can show you how to get to 8 sales. Why would they say no? They're not there now. Why would they say no? Now, sometimes this number is bigger and just run the math. But I want you guys to see the thing that I just did with Ziggy. Did you see what I did? I stopped and I asked her to do the math for 2 reasons. Number 1, I want to have a little bit of space to think. Where do I go next? Number 2, I want her to be typing the numbers in because I want them to be her number, not my number. Do you see that? I asked her what the number was. She said 8. Now she has ownership of that number. That's her number. I'm just writing your number down. Okay. All right. So with our program called KV Core, we have a CRM that's available, and inside that CRM.
Sorry. Pause. Pause. I didn't want you to move forward because I just want to make sure I had the math on that right. So I'm sorry for jumping in. So if you just do the easy numbers, yeah, the easy number is 400,000 and it's a 2.5, which is common for here. That's you're taking 10 deals, or that's a $10,000 commission. So you're taking the 100,000, which is what you want, and dividing it by the 10,000.
Yes. So Robin, let's do this. Let's you and I do this.
Okay.
Thank you for stopping me. Okay, guys, listen. Don't hesitate to stop me. I'm on a freight train here, but like if you need something, we back up. This is not normal, guys. Most people don't do these conversations. We got to be able to quantify this so we can actually show them how they're going to get to where they are. Okay, quantify it. So Robin, let me ask you a question. I'll do it again for you guys. Ready? So Robin, let me ask you a question. How much money do you want to make each year?
100,000.
Are you sure it's not 200?
Well, I want 500,000, but I'm going to go with 100,000. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with 100,000. Okay, so you want $100,000 a year. Good, cool. What happened? But by the way, in part of this conversation, you can also do is they're at 20 now. If we find out where they're at now, you're at 20 now, and you want to be at 100. What changes when you get to 100? You get some time off. You can take some vacations. You can save some money for the future. You can put your kids through college. You can get those bills paid off. So that's a big deal, right?
Well, and they're almost at Icon. They're halfway to Icon if they're at the 400 average.
Yeah. So we've got to exfoliate that number a little bit. Like what changes if you get to what changes when you get to 100, right? Guys, listen, I will tell you, we have all these high level conversations about these amazing producers at 50, 60, and 70 sales. I'm going to tell you what, you want to make a game changing world happen and change things in the universe. You take people at 2, 3, 4, 5 sales a year and you show them how to get to 20, you just freaking change the trajectory of their family forever. There's a big difference between 20 and $100,000. You like game changer stuff for people. And most of the people you're talking to aren't there. Most of the people nationally aren't there. So let's make sure we're open to saying, hey, if we can get you from struggling to affluence, that's game changer stuff. Now they can change the trajectory of their family and their grandkids, right? Game changer stuff. So I want you to understand how big of a deal this is. The people that are at 2, 3, 4 that can go to 20 is life-changing for that family. Okay, so it's super important you understand the power of that. Now it changes the way you look at it. This is game changer stuff for these guys. Okay, so Robin, so what is your average sales price in your market?
I would say 400,000.
Okay, you're 400,000. Cool. Great. So in your market, do you know what the typical commission is? Is it
The 2.5, yeah.
2.5%? Okay, so that's typical is 2.5%. Good. Okay, so let's do some math for me. Can you pull out your calculator? 400,000 times 2.5%. How much is that?
10,000. 10,000.
Okay, so your typical commission in your market's around $10,000, correct?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Again, guys, listen, I'm making her do the math. She's punching the numbers in and she owns this number. That's her number now. It's not mine. Okay. I do this with listing appointments too. I show them the info. So what should you price your house at based on that info? Make them say a number. Now it's their number. It's not mine. If they give me the right number, we keep moving forward. If they give me the wrong number, we start doing objection handlers because their number's smoking dope, right?
You do it
Like
with
you said,
the
500,000. What? Like based on what? I just like 500. What? Huh? And then we got to
You do it with the sales price, or you do it with their net?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it with the sales price in their
On the
market. So
listing.
here's the thing.
No, like that'd be cool to do it with their net. If they were like, I have to make this and reverse it, that'd be kind of cool for a listing appointment. Yeah.
You guys want to talk about objection handlers on listing? I got a couple dirty ones with pricing that are sloppy funny and stick figure stuff. And like you can't beat it. It's the craziest dumb thing in the world. Okay, so hang on one second. I saw the hand. I'll be right back to you. Okay, so let's finish this. So your average commission for you in your market is $10K, right? $10,000.
Right.
Okay, so how many sales do you need to do to get $100,000 at a $10,000 commission?
10.
Okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't we aim for 12 because you're gonna have to pay taxes too, right? So if you get
Right.
12 sales at 10 grand is $120,000. And do you want $100,000 gross or 100,000 net?
Net.
You want, yeah, so do I, right? So I want 100 net spendable. So let's aim for 120, which is one sale per month. Okay. So now if I could show you 2 or 3 ways to get one sale per month, that's easy, doing things that you like to do. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, that's sweet. So this is what my mentor did with me at KW, and I just never did know the math to take it to here. So that's, I appreciate this. Yeah, because this is how he sold me on that I could do what I'm doing. So that's good. Thank you.
So it's super, super important that we make sure that we keep this really simple. I will tell you guys, most real estate agents aren't going to get into more math than this. Are there some people that will? Yes, absolutely. Don't hesitate to grab one of us and drag us in, and we'll go into way more complicated stuff with teams and so forth. But you're talking 90+% of the people you're talking to, this is all the math that they need to move forward. Again, keep it super simple. I only want to tell them enough information on the listing appointment so that they say, yes, I want you to do the job. Great. Do you care how I do it? No, they just want the job done. They don't care how to get to that 100. Like, I don't care how I get there as long as I get there. Okay. Let's show them a way to get there with that they like, because now we know what they like. Okay. So there's basic math. So if we could talk about how to get 12 sales in a year, you're at 2 or 3 right now. Let's talk about how to get to 12. You'd be good, right? Yeah, cool. So let's talk about 2 or 3 of those. Now we can get into tools. But all of those tools are based off of how do we get them to their goal, their number. All right. So I'm going to pause again. Question. Somebody had their hand up. I think Barbara, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I'm kind of answered it.
I'm sorry, I'm losing you there. Your audio's low.
Do you hear me now?
Nope, hardly at all.
Okay.
Scream at your dog if you need to. Go for it.
You can type it in the chat. I screamed at my dog. Type it in the chat, Barb, and we can read it.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Any other questions at this point? This is basic realtor math. Guys, most realtors don't have this, okay? So what I want to do is that this whole thing is set up for most of these people when they say, hey, I want to be here, they want to be there, but it's really hard for them to think about doing 10 sales. You might be like, Russ, what are you kidding me? Like 10, how? Guys, listen, I've done this interview process hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And I'm telling you, factually, a huge portion of people have trouble even understanding this 10 thing because they're not there. If they were there, then they would have already, if they already knew, they'd already be there, right? And the people that are at 10, guess what? They want to be at 20 or 25 or 30. And most of them want to be at 25 or 30 without working 40 hours a week. Get what I'm at now? So we've got to start finding things that they're willing to buy. So a lot of people will talk about tools and like, let's pretend this is a drill bit, right? Here's sales 101. Ready? Nobody ever bought a drill bit because they wanted a drill bit. Never. Like, oh, I want a shiny, twisty piece of metal that's sharp on the end. No, they wanted a hole. They want a 1/2-inch hole. And for that, you're going to need a drill bit that's a 1/2-inch size. And you get, that'll make a 1/2-inch hole. So now do you want that? Yeah, but it's all about what they get from it, right? Nobody wants a CRM. But if I could show you a way to use this tool consistently every month to be able to get business to come to you, do you want to talk about that? And they're like, yeah, heck yeah, I do, right? If I could show you 2 or 3 ways to get business to come to you consistently over the next year, would you like to talk about that? Yes. Guys, listen, most of them don't have that. That's why they're happy to talk about it. Okay. So with that being said, then the tools, I'm only going to sell them the tools that they need. Okay. So if you use our CRM called KV Core, and there's a bunch of really great training on that, there's this little thing where you can hit ... and you can advertise any of the properties that are in your market with EXP. You can advertise those and the phone will ring with a person saying, hey, I want more information about that house. Now, I know we did this for our team. We did 30 of these. We did 30 of these every morning. I'm sorry, 10 posts every morning. And we would gather about 30 calls per month, plus or minus, every single month, of people saying, hey, I want more info about that house. Now, here's the thing. We track the numbers. So with the KV Core, just driving business itself, what we had is we got 30 phone calls a month on average, right? 15 of those phone calls went something like this. Hey, I'm calling about that house for rent. You're like, no, that house wasn't for rent. We didn't advertise it for rent. I don't know why you're calling to ask about renting a house that we put up for sale. That is not what the post was, but I don't know why, but it happens all the time. 15 out of those 30 do that, right? So that means we have 15 people left saying, hey, I'm interested in the house. Great. Tell me more info. What do you need to know? Like start that conversation. You start your typical work in a phone call thing, right? I know of those 15, I'm going to get 7 of them are never going to give me information that they need. Hey, by the way, are you already qualified? Have you talked to a mortgage person? Do you know what you can and can't afford? You might be surprised what you can afford. You might be surprised what you can't afford. But let's make sure you're qualified first. 7 of them refuse to even have any more conversation, okay? With that said, I've got 7 people left that are probably qualifiable or willing to get qualified and willing to have this conversation move forward. Do you think if you had 7 of those a month, you could convert 1 or 2 of them into a sale? And the agent's going to go, yes, I can. Okay. How many of those do you think you can convert? And they're going to say 7, right? The shy one's going to say 5, right? I say, okay, if we just did 2, if you just had 2, that'd be 2 a month. That's 24 sales. You need to do 12. That's double what you need. So if you just use that one tool and we showed you how to do that, you could be above where you wanted to be. Does that sound fair? So is there anything else you need to talk about to make this decision, to make this move? Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no, right? Guys, now you're going to find their flavor of their thing, right? And they're going to have some additional questions. But this is that pre-closing conversations. Like I just showed you how to get there, just utilizing one tool. If you had that tool, would you use it? Yes. If you use that tool, would you get there? Yes. How many sales would you get? Boom. Now we quantify that and say, based on that, you're already over what your goal is. Would you like 2 or 3 other things as backup just in case? And a lot of times they'll say, yeah, because they know this is bullshit. Because if they could actually do that, they wouldn't be where they are. Okay, so what else? Okay, so are you working your sphere of influence? Yes, great. How many people are in your sphere of influence? Okay, guys, when you start this conversation going from point A to point B, if they don't tell you 20 homes a year, the first thing I want to do is I want to hit them on sphere of influence. I want to hit them on sphere of influence because I know, guys, I don't give a flying crap what the market's doing. I know for a fact my people are more likely to do business with me if I stay in communication with them. Right? And most people are doing a horrible job of that. So I stand in front of room after room after room after room after room, and I say, how many of you guys can tell me exactly how many people you have in your sphere? One person here, one person there raises their hand, guys. I've asked this question hundreds of times in front of hundreds of rooms. It's one here, one there. By the way, if you ask your people in your system, are you working your sphere? Most people say, yeah. Great. How many people do you have in your sphere? Don't know. Are you using CRM weekly? No. Are you sending stuff to them on a monthly basis? No. Then you're not really working your sphere. You just have a list. The list doesn't pay you anything, right? So here's the thing, guys. Basic real estate business people 101. Your sphere of influence, even in a crappy market, should be converting at 8 to 10%. Okay, here's facts. Here's a fun part of being on the national stage a lot. I ask a lot of people like, hey, how you guys, what's your conversion rate on sphere? When a person's doing good things consistently on a monthly basis, and I can tell you what those things are, by the way, guys, I have a video on that. If you'd like to see that, let me know. Video, what do I do to get towards that? Okay. Brian Buffini, Roger Butcher, Craig Proctor, Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, David Knox, all of the guys, right? Myself, my buddy Adrian, when we have coaches, Mike Hellickson, when they're working their sphere, typically you can get around 8 to 10% if you do a good job working it. If you guys don't know how to do that, let me know. I can teach you that too. There's some really simple things you can do to work your sphere to get close to that. Even if you fail and you're only at 7%, that's still pretty good, right? So if I've got 140 people in my sphere at 7%, 100 people in my sphere at 7%, that's 7 sales. At 200 people in my sphere, that's 14 sales. So all we got to do is get you doing things you love, get to 200 people doing things you love, and then send the right stuff to them consistently so the business comes to you and you hit that conversion rate. So just working your sphere, doing things you like, not doing things you don't like, we can have you out golfing more and you can build your business doing that. So if you do business with 200 golfers on a regular basis, you can convert that to about 8 to 10% of your sphere, which is 14 to 16 transactions just from your sphere. That's your number one highest best return in the industry. Now, guys, listen, I have people fight me on this all the time. Are there other ways you can make money? Yes. Can you do lead generation? Yes. Most of the stuff takes time, energy, and effort. And when I ask them what they like and what they don't like, they never say, God, I want to work a bunch of leads. I want to spend a bunch of money and build a bunch of ads. They never say that, okay? Are there people that do that? Yes. Can you work FSBOs and make a good living? Yes. But when I sit down with people and say, what do you like? Nobody's ever said, God, I love calling FSBOs. When you ask that question 1,000 times and you never get somebody says, boy, I can't wait to work expireds. Door knocking's my jam. Guys, almost nobody says that. I'm not saying don't do those things. I'm simply saying your sphere of influence is your number one most likely return. And typically we've tracked it. We can get into that 8 to 10% if you work it well. Okay, so with that said, should you be working that first or run the percentage game where you're getting a 2% return? Do you guys hear real estate agents saying all the time, I'm working my ass off, I feel like I'm going nowhere? Why? Because they're not working the people they have relationships with. They're not building more relationships. For most people, again, remember, not all, but for most people, this working your sphere is going to be their fastest and best way to more transactions. Just putting the list of the people they know together and cleaning up the information typically will scare out a real estate sale. For the average person, just putting their sphere list together will scare out a real estate sale. So you can literally have them pop in. First step is let's put our sphere list together. Great. Then what do we do with it? There's a whole separate video for that. If you guys want it, just hit me up in chat and say, send me the other video, right? Talks about market update, building a contractor list, and doing social media that actually makes sense. Like to the bartender, which beach is open right now? It's not a complete pile, right? Which golf course is still functional right now? It's high end and a low end, right? Where's the best restaurant to go to that's not here? Those are things that the bartender needs to know because then she can start building her sphere with those people and she becomes a resource. Okay. Now I'm holding my people accountable to doing that. And if I say, hey, how many people are in your sphere? How many do you add this week? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Remember, you said you were here. This is where we win, guys. You said you were here and you wanted to get there. If you don't do these things, you're never going to get there. You're going to be stuck at A. Our job is to get you to B. So are you willing to do this? Yes. You said you were willing to do this. Yes. Now, if they're not doing it, I'm done with them. I hear this all the time from people that are leaders and builders, like where you guys are at right now. I've got, 30, 40, 50, 70, 100 people, Russ, and are driving me nuts. Establish some really simple criteria and hold their feet to the fire on those simple criteria. And if they're not doing that, you don't waste your time on them because you are wasting your time on people wasting your time. Have a couple of simple hurdles for them to jump over. If they jump over that, you give them the next step. Guys, if they don't do the first step, don't even worry about talking about the second or third or fourth step. Now you've got a power shift with this guy from being a doormat, for you being a doormat to you being in charge of the relationship and you being able to hold them accountable. They want you to. They told you to. So if you want to be here, are you willing to do some things that I said we talk about? Yeah, good, good. And what happens if you don't? Power shift. If you're not doing your part, I'm doing my part, you're not doing your part. That's on you, right? Got it? I don't have people going, well, Russ, you're not doing what you said. Bullshit. Watch this, y'all. Like, I was there 11 o'clock today. I was on with my people. And I was like, hey, I am a resource for you. You show up, participate, right? There's nothing I won't do for any one of you guys on here. But you got to do your part, right? And I'm going to ask you, like, what do you like to do? Well, Russ, I need to do more attraction. Great. What do you like to do? What do you not like to do? Great. So let's set up a plan that you do more of the stuff you like. Cool. You're like, yeah, I could do that. Right? This is why I jumped on Brent Gove's 1% club call. And I said, hey guys, how many of you guys love cold calling agents? How many of you guys need to sell more houses? A bunch of hands went up, right? Okay, if in the process of selling more houses, you could attract more real estate agents, would you like to see that recipe? And they're like, hell yeah, I would, right? Hey, Craig Lurch, did you see that recipe?
Oh, that was great. I loved seeing the recipe. It was great. And all I'm doing is getting my guys all doing it now. Because the more you do it.
You said what you like to do. And I said, hey, man, I got a recipe for that. And you said, okay, cool. And I showed you the recipe. And then what happened? You watched that video. And what happened after that?
I bet. I went home. I was all in. I was like.
He was like, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight, Russ. Thanks. Because now you see, you saw how to go from where you are to where you want to be, right?
No, what you actually asked me was, what's your favorite ice cream?
I did that.
And I said, I picked an ice cream. I said, butter almond. He goes, great. So if I give you chocolate, does that work for you? No. He says, but if I can find a way to recreate butter almond for you all the time that makes you want to have ice cream and you know that's your favorite, would you go to that one store all the time? Absolutely. Why wouldn't I? He says, okay, then let me show you the formula how to do it. This is the formula. So why wouldn't you follow the formula to get your favorite versus doing something else? But it was interesting, just on a conversation of ice cream, to this. And it was standing in the middle of the lobby at Mandolin Bay.
So, guys, this worked on Craig, right? It works on a lot of people. And it's not super obvious what you're doing. You just give a crap about showing them how to get from point A to point B, okay? And keep the math super simple, okay? Do they need to get into all the other math? Do they need to get into net? By the way, Craig, most of the time when I'm having this conversation with agents, they never ask me about the commission. They never ask me about splits. They rarely ask me about costs. A lot of people say, boom, they hit the button. I'm like, sign me up, right? Okay, before we actually get you in, let's talk about the commission so you know what you're getting into. But guys, when you get to the point where they don't care what it costs, and I will look at an agent as an objection handler, I'll be like, do you really care what it costs? If you can make $500,000 a year and you're at a 50-50 split, does it really matter what the commission split is? And they're like, no, as long as I make $500,000 a year, I don't care what the commission split is. Most people will say yes to that. The ones that want to fight that, and they're like, well, yeah, but that's important. Okay, tell me why. That's probably part of the reason why you're stuck at 20,000 right now, instead of being focused on the right stuff, which will get you 100. Now, do we have a game? Right? So then you have a system behind this and say, okay, guys, here's what I'm going to do. And I do this with every single one of my people, every single time in every single company. I hold them. Step one, let's get your list of your sphere together. If you don't get that list together and can't show it to me, I'm not talking to you anymore about step two. Step one, I go, get me your list. What do I want to talk about? Get me your list. But what about, get me your list. If you can't get the list together, you're not going to make it, right? Because that's where your number one source of business is going to come from. Particularly newer and younger and less than 10 sales a year, it's going to come from their sphere most likely. You got to work that consistently. Number two is add value. And I can show you a couple of things to add value. If you guys don't have that, add value. If you just did 1 and 2, add more people to your sphere, add value, you can build your whole business on that. It's a really easy way to get to 20 sales a year. Doing that consistently over a year, you can get to 20 sales in a year pretty easy. Got person after person after person after person that has done that. And it takes a lot of pressure off of you because now you're not spending a bunch of time micromanaging, talking about a bunch of nonsense. We're going to talk about build your sphere, grow your sphere, doing these 3 things, and then add value on a monthly basis. Okay.
Like
questions?
10 agents.
Mhm.
10 agents in my line. And
Hey, Juan. Hey, Juan, how you doing, brother? I can hear you loud and clear, bro.
I'm so sorry. I was just here doing things, but they're great to be here in the group, man. I was invited to join this group. It's a pleasure to learn from you guys.
Awesome.
See that you're amazing.
I'm glad you're here. I just want to make sure you didn't have a question there because I just heard you talking there. So I'll mute you. I'm going to mute you right now. Okay. So if you have a question, don't hesitate, put your hand up. Okay.
Ab-
All right. Good. Any questions from you guys? I know that was a lot of stuff, a lot of different directions. Whew. Yeah. Now what?
I think this works. This is John Pasilio. Hi. Hey, Russ. This works also with the company. I have a meeting tomorrow. Somebody I've been walking down the aisle, so to speak. And you reframed what I'm gonna ask him. It's a good sized opportunity. So thank you.
Yeah, you're quite welcome. So here's a shift for you guys with companies, okay? So there's typically 3 reasons somebody's with a big team or a company is making a move. Number 1, they're getting left behind and they don't have the technology to keep up and they feel like they're getting blown out of the water and they can't keep up with the back end costs and technologies and so forth, being left behind. Number 2, they want to get the hell out. They're done. Like, I'm tired of doing this. I don't want to do this anymore. That's one of the reasons why they want to get out. That's number 2. Okay. And the third one is I want to partner with somebody so I can take my stuff to the next level. So they're either feeling like they're getting left behind, they can't keep up, they want to get out, or they want to take their stuff to the next level and they don't know how to do it themselves. Okay. So most of them will fit into those 3 categories. Okay. Here's something that's very common with big businesses and very common with big teams and brokerages. They get in, they build their stuff, and they want to build their own team to take great care of people, and they want to have freedom to build their own stuff, right? So they're free to fly around in the cage that they built for themselves. They build their own cage and then they can only fly around because they don't have freedom because now they got a bunch of people beholden to them. They've got a bunch of expenses, a bunch of costs. They're doing a ton of things that they don't love to do. So John, one of the questions I'll ask them doing this, same thing. What do you love to do? What do you not love to do? Right? For a lot of them, if you could go back, so in this company conversation, if you could go back to doing the stuff you love and our company can take care of some of the back end stuff so you don't have to do that, would that be a good plan for you? And a lot of times, John, they'll be like, yes, please, God. I just want to teach, train, grow people and be able to do my own thing and take an evening and take a weekend off. But I want all the responsibility and the financial responsibility and accounting and the bookkeeping. John, when I ask them what do they like to do, very, very seldom do they say, I love bookkeeping, I love accounting, I love dealing with toilet paper, I love dealing with copy machines that break, I like dealing with phone systems, I like fixing everybody's tech problems. Nobody ever says that to me. Maybe 1 in 100. I really love the back end stuff. I don't like the people. I love the back end stuff. But almost all of these people that start this stuff, they love people, teaching, training, growing. They want to build something amazing and help people be successful. And they're not doing that anymore because the back end of the business takes all the fun away from it. They're spending 60, 70, 80% of their time working on the back end of the business. They don't have time to do the part that they love. So if I can get you back to doing the part you love, we can handle the back end. Are we talking? Most of the time, we're like, hell yeah. Oh, yes, man, you are speaking my language. I know, because I've heard 100 other people tell me that same story. I was there myself, been there, had my own company, hated the back end. I'm good with the people part, okay? Question, Robin, jump in.
So I loved like I said, my mentor before used that whole analogy about, okay, if you want 100 grand, do this number of deals. So same concept in relation to agent attraction.
Yes.
What are the numbers? Because like that helped my brain then to do this for real estate. I want to do the same thing to my brain for agent attraction. So what are the ratios like on average for that? Is that a good question? Like you get it?
So let me tie this to production, right? So my recipe is, I don't know if you guys have seen my recipe on attraction. It's plus, I'm gonna draw it for you. Ready? I'll draw it for you guys over here. This is super important for a lot of you guys. This recipe, you're gonna say, yeah, Russ, I can do that. Okay. So plus house sales equals plus dollars. More houses you sell, the more money you make. Equals plus people that help you sell more houses. Okay, so here's the basic real estate agent recipe. Basic real estate recipe is this. Okay, sell more houses, make more money, and the more money you make and the more houses you sell, the more houses you sell because you're seeing people selling houses, blah blah blah. And the more houses you sell, the more houses you sell. Good recipe. If I do a bunch of house sales and do the follow-up stuff that I'm supposed to, you get more people that want to sell houses. Now, in the process of doing this whole game, you've got this other little quantifier over here, and I call this the R factor. On every one of these house sales, you sell more houses. Let's say, for instance, Robin, you sell 30 houses a year. You get 30 houses a year. You've got probably 25 realtors on the other side of those deals, right? So let me ask you, in the process of going through this conversation and selling more houses, you're going to have more realtors you can add value to on a monthly basis consistently with a couple of simple things. If I could show you what those simple things are, do you think you can convert a couple of these into conversations?
Yeah.
And if you can convert a couple conversations into people that you hire, let's say in 30 sales a year, you're just going to take 5. So every other month you get 1 person that we can bring over. How many is that for you? That would be 6 in 1 year. Well, here's a fun part. How many years are you going to be in business? You look pretty young.
I don't know. I'm 51, but I do 6
You guys are all
sales a
like,
year.
nice job,
Yeah.
Russ.
Yeah, good answer. Yeah. So yeah,
How many years are you going to be in business?
5 more. Well, hopefully with agent attraction, not much, but sure, we'll say 5.
So let's say, so 5 years times 6. So you've got 30 people up front that you can be working on. And if you help some of those 30 grab a couple people, let's just say only half of them get 1 person, then you add it, you start adding people along. So your
Right.
goal right now is just to say, how do I get myself to 30 consistently, and then help them make sure that they're available for that conversation too.
Okay.
And then it can start taking on a life of its own exponentially. But the first things first is like, I'm not worried about the future. I'm cognizant of it. I know where I'm going when I'm doing 160 miles an hour on the ground. I'm looking really far ahead of me. The faster you go, the further ahead you got to look. Racing
Right.
1-on-1. Okay. So in this scenario, I'm going to say, okay, so can I get that many? If I can't get that many doing 30 sales, now I'm going to have to do something additional and extra. So are there a couple of other things that I can do to help do that? Yes, absolutely. So can I go to a board event every once in a while and bump into some realtors there? I would prefer to go to the board golf outing. And here's the reason why. Even if I suck at golf, you're out and about and it's not as threatening of an environment. And then the golf outing, people are like, oh, blah, 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 blah. I say, hey, by the way, do you get my real estate market update I do every month? And they go, no, I don't. Would you like me to send my real estate market update to you every month? Tells you what's going on in the market. If you ever see anything different than what I'm seeing, let me know. I like to compare notes with people on that. And they say, yeah, I'll take that. Okay, so now I've got something they want. And if I offer it to them, they're going to take it, right? So, Craig, what kind of ice cream do you like? Butter pecan, right? You like butter? Hey, Craig, I've got butter pecan ice cream. You want it? And he's like, yes, I do. Like, I know that's an oversimplification. Some of you guys will be like, well, Russ, it's way more, but it's not really, because I've got something that every single real estate agent in the market needs to know. Even if they have their own market update, they still like to see mine because it gives them a little perspective, because they don't know they're right. They think they're right. But if they see me saying the same thing they're saying, they're like, oh yeah, now we know we're right. So worst case scenario, hey, by the way, do you do one? No? Okay, good. Well, if you did one, I want to see it too, because I don't always know I'm right. I'd like to compare notes with some people. I had 543 agents in Tampa that got my real estate market update. That didn't work for me. 543 of them. I built all of that out and about. I'm doing whatever I'm doing. A realtor, like, I'm a realtor too. Great. Say, hey, by the way, I do a real estate market update every month that tells people what's going on in the market. You want me to send it to you? And they say, yes, I do.
Cool. Okay. No, that's good.
And the
That's
one
good.
that says no, you run. You run from them. Like, I don't want them. They're not my flavor.
No.
Okay. So you got to find your flavor. And that is the number one easiest way to get people willing to communicate with you. Then 2, 3, 4 months down the road, I can pick up the phone and say, hey, Robin, this is Russ Lagan. You know, the bald-headed turtle looking dude that does a real estate market update. Did you catch my last one last month? Did you notice the numbers are shifting? Did you catch that? Are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing? And then they start blabbing. Now I'm starting conversations based off my production and bumping into random people. I've got my own R list, and I make sure every one of those is getting value added on a monthly basis. Okay. By the way, I've got my contractor list too. You know what I do with my contractor list? Anybody needs a contractor because their house is muffed up. I don't know a single house that's perfect anywhere. By the way, I've got a list of contractors. And the reason I have this list of contractors is because houses always have issues. And if they call me for a contractor, they'll call me when it's time to sell their house. By the way, I post on Facebook, hey guys, who do you have that's a good plumber that shows up on time, is fair price, doesn't smell like burnt feet and bacon, and communicates well? And by the way, a bunch of realtors will send me their people. Now I've got realtors giving me their contractor people. I'll say, hey, by the way, I saw you're a realtor too. I've got a whole list I'm building out. When I get that built out, if you ever need anybody, don't hesitate to ask me. Boom. Now I've got realtors communicating with each other, not trying to fleece each other. I'm not trying to get anything off you. I'm giving you something. And they go, oh, that guy's kind of nice. By the way, when I stopped doing my market update in Tampa, I had people call me and be like, hey, dude, did I get blackballed? Did I do something wrong? Did I piss you off? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't get your market update anymore. Did you blacklist me? I didn't blacklist you. I moved to Michigan. It's like, you didn't catch that? Like, I'm not in the state anymore. That's why I don't do a Tampa.
Do you do
update.
was it just like a newsletter thing or video? What was your market update? Just
So I've got a video on that. If you'd like to see a video on that, send me a hit on chat.
I will find it. All right, cool. No, you're
Hey, guys.
blowing my mind up in a good way. So thank you.
Guys, this is how you systematically build a system that is predictable, repeatable, doable, something that you'll do. Remember, what will you do? Will you do this stuff, Robin? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah,
Easy.
like you're blowing my mind up because, like, I've been looking to figure out how I built my real estate business was organic networking on Facebook, on social media, same exact. And I've been trying to shift it, and you just shifted. So that was cool.
Ain't that some shift?
I'll send you some. Cool. I'll send you some chocolate. Ain't that some shift? That was good.
So, by the way, I had this conversation, a long version of this conversation. Some of you guys saw it already, and I've put it out there, but I'll put it out there again just in case you missed it. I had a conversation with Liz Brown, and she's like, Russ, I need to do better traction. I'm like, let's do attraction through sales. And I walked her through. That's a video I sent to Craig Lurch, and he's like, dude, now I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight, jerk. And by the way, in there's 2 or 3 other recipes that I gave him that help build out this stuff. So then you can say, okay, on a monthly basis, I'm doing boom, 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 boom. I'm adding boom, 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 boom. Now we've got a system in place to add more than 6 every year. Now maybe I can add 10 every year, 15 every year. Even if I just do 1 a month doing this stuff, that's way ahead of where you were before. And next thing you know, I'm kicking you out. You got to go into the beta group. Be like, I don't want to go to the beta group. I like Russ.
Are those videos on your YouTube or?
If you send me a hit on chat and say, Russ, please send me the Liz Brown video. It talks about attraction through doing sales and how to do the market update and so forth. I'll send that to you. And when you watch that, then I send Craig the second email, which is a video on how and why to do a good real estate market update, a sample of how to do one, and then a sample on how to build a contractor list with an instruction manual, and then how to do social media stuff.
Woo. All right, dude. That's good stuff.
The whole rest
This works, everybody. If you're not doing it, we're like calling all the realtors we know. Hey, by the way, we're building a list we want to share with you. We're not just doing it social media. When I'm on the phone with you, hey, by the way, I'm building this crazy list. I'm short somebody in this. How about this? You got somebody? How about if you? Now all of a sudden, can I get that list? No, you don't want this list. Nah, I do a takeaway. Nah, you don't really want this list, do you? Okay, I'll give it to you.
Well, what's crazy is I did that exact same thing to build real estate.
Yeah.
Just to go be the mayor in the community.
Yes.
So now I'm just flipping it to utilize it. So it's just, it's
the same. So here's the thing, the same exact recipe to get more house sales. You're just going to repurpose that for your R list. So you've got a separate list and you give them all the same stuff you're doing for house sales. The house sales are 10 and look, you guys are telling me your numbers, right? Your average house sales, $10,000 and $12,000 checks. These guys are $350. I would rather you go after $10,000 checks. And by the way, while you're doing that, build the 350s passively as a side income, right? And then 5 years from now, you're like, man, these 350s are adding up to a lot of money. I could stop doing that because that's paying me more. Now you shift to attraction. You don't shift to attraction before you're making enough money with attraction to pay your bills. You stay wealthy, healthy, and fed. Then you build the attraction, and the attraction becomes the icing. It's not the cake. It's the icing at first. And then after a little while, it could be the whole thing. But you can't starve to death to get there. A lot of people are like, just stop selling houses and do attraction only. I'm like, yeah, go broke fast. If you guys are like me, if I don't make money, I don't get to eat. So I gotta make sure I'm paying the bills first. And by the way, you're gonna do a good job doing that. All these realtors love your stuff too. Now they're coming to you instead of you chasing them. I'm not chasing realtors. They're calling me. Well, dude, how do we align with you? That's how I ran in my business. Now I'm in Detroit. And I don't hardly know any realtors here. By the way, I'm gonna go golfing in like May because it's freezing here. All right. Guys, I know we went a little bit long. Hopefully that was valuable to you. It is recorded. I'll drop it on my YouTube channel, which is Jumpstart. You can go Russ Lagan, RUSSLAGGAN. I usually keep my name up here so you guys know how to spell it. And I'll drop that on my YouTube channel so you guys can check it out. Okay. And I'm going to post this in the workplace group also. And Lord knows, if we get this right, we'll be able to get you guys text to let you know where the meetings are and so forth. So it'll be a little more simple instead of you guys having to chase workplace. But check the workplace group out. Ask questions there, guys. I look at that every single day. So post stuff in there. Ask questions in there if you want. I'm actually traveling next week. Do you guys want to do a call next week on Wednesday? Because if you do, I'm going to be in Hot Springs, Arkansas, visiting my family with a bunch of health issues. If you guys want to do it, I will have I'll have a guest handle it. So you guys can still have more conversation. So do you guys want to do next week? I'll have a guest to do that. Okay. So Rick Jansen, you want to handle it? Rick's like, oh man.
Do I want to teach it or facilitate it?
You can facilitate it. You can do whatever you want with it. How's that? And then you guys can tell me, Rick, you won't believe what Rick did, Russ. I'm kidding.
Sure, brother.
Yes. You want to handle it? Okay. So what I'll do is I'm going to give you my login for Zoom with Russ. So you can jump on here, open this puppy up and let it rip. Okay. So Rick is going to be your guest host next week because I will be traveling. So you guys show up to your thing, have some fun, have great holidays. Remember, guys, there's tons of stuff to be thankful for. I'm thankful for each one of you guys because without you guys, I don't have a job. At least I can make money, but I love doing this, guys. This is my favorite thing in the world. So don't hesitate to reach out if you guys need support on something. Good. And then I'll get some guests lined up for the future so you guys can have more perspective. Sound good? Watch out for that guy. Watch out for that guy, Bart. He's crazy. All right. See you guys. Be
That was
good.
awesome. Thanks.
You got it. Tyler. What's up, brother? All right. See you, Keith.